We need another desk in our office badly. My wife needs her own space, and I need her out of mine. I made some space in our office for another desk there, so let's go.
My budget for this build is $0. I'm not going to order one of these cheap desks online. I'm going to make one and use what I already have. I have a leftover piece of expensive plywood from another project. I don't have plans for it, and using it will save me time not having to glue anything together. This design can use anything flat for the top, a cheaper piece of plywood, or even some construction lumber glued into a panel. This design will also need one 2x4 that can be cut into the frame and the leg, and we need to use a filing cabinet for the other side. These go for pretty cheap on Marketplace around me if you don't already have one like I did. This is a really low budget build, but that doesn't mean I can't learn anything new and continue honing my skills in the shop. I placed the cabinet where it would fit best and marked a line level with the top of the filing cabinet where the studs are. I've had a few stud finders and this one by far is the best. I'll leave a link to it. Next, I installed the back frame piece that I thought was called a ledger. I may be wrong if it's called something else. Please let me know in the comments. I got lucky and I started with the middle screw. I laid the level on it and it was glorious when I let the level down and it locked into place. I had to do this twice and film it from another angle. I then added a second screw feeling good about myself, which didn't last very long, but you'll see. I carry my plywood top up the stairs and place it on the frame that I had so far. The edge on this plywood is straight, but the drywall on the wall isn't straight at all. I've never scribed anything, but I've seen it done before.
Seen it 1,000 times.
I found a washer and I made a line that hopefully mimics the wall's curves. I then took the plywood back downstairs to the shop. To cut next to the line I scribed, I used my jigsaw. I've learned that a good blade will make a big difference on the cut quality of any tool, but that definitely goes for a jigsaw. I try to stay just on the outside of the line. I usually use this sander for live edges, but this was an excellent tool to clean up the jigsaw cut and get closer to the line. As I used on the walnut kitchen island video, I thought some thick walnut edge banding would look cool on the edge of this desk. My problem was this rounded corner. I couldn't leave it at a 90 because we have kids and we didn't want them running into it and getting hurt. I made a half-hearted attempt at making my own edge banding that I knew would be destined to fail. I even tried some kerf cuts to help it bend and soaking it in water, but this bend was just too tight. Once the piece snapped that I was experimenting with, I didn't want to spend any more time getting deeper into this, so I got out the iron-on edge banding and used that. This ended up being an interesting experiment I will learn from for the future. The leg in this design can easily be a 2x4 or any piece of wood that is the same height as the filing cabinet. I had this live edge piece of ash that I cut off a slab that I saved for a magical moment, just like this one, so I used that. I chipped off the bark and then sanded it smooth. With the table saw, I cut a flat face on the live edge so that it will have a place to meet up with the frame. For some added style and to remove the sharp edges for safety, I put a big round over on the front. I use my router table whenever possible because I feel like it's more accurate and it has better dust collection than my handheld routers. One of those could have easily gotten this job done. To connect the leg to the back piece, I figured out how far I wanted it out and I cut a frame piece for that. This piece needed pocket holes for screws to go into the back piece on one side and into the leg on the other. I don't have any pocket hole screws for hardwood. I will remember this if this thing fails and falls apart after a few months. It did take a lot of effort to get the screws to sink in. For easy charging of a laptop, I decided an outlet on top of the desk would be a nice feature. That way the laptop could be plopped down and plugged in without getting under the desk to find the outlet. To do so, I needed to mark on the top where the leg and support would go so the outlet didn't get in the way underneath. I could then take the top back down to the shop to cut a hole in it. Alrighty, so back in the shop, here's my marking location from underneath. So I'm going to want this to go about here to give it enough space. My circle's got to be smaller than this one so it can sit on this ledge from the top, and this can tighten down from underneath. This outlet has been in my shop since it didn't work out on my last desk build. I'll add a link to that video. This is the bottom of the desktop. To cut out the hole, my plan was to mark a center location with a small drill bit. That way I could transfer the pencil line to the top and cut it out from that side. I drilled half the hole with the Forstner bit. I then tried to drill the other half from the bottom and I missed. Without realizing, I finished the hole from the top and pushed too hard and had a massive blowout. I was able to move the hole over in the direction of the tear out, so it wasn't that hard to fix. I should have taken my time though, this could have been a really big mistake. I even made a short giving tips on how to get clean holes with the Forstner bit. This made this feel even more of a fail. To place the hole as close as possible to the edge of my blowout, I put blue tape on it and scored the surface of the wood fibers with a razor blade. I wanted to do everything that I could to prevent the fibers from tearing anymore. I needed this to all be hidden under the lip of the outlet so my mistake wouldn't be visible. I carefully cut out the circle with a jigsaw and then I used a round over and did some sanding to finally get the outlet to fit. To screw the desktop to the frame, I quickly added a few more spots for more pocket screws. Off camera, I added a water-based polyurethane to the top and leg before bringing this top back upstairs. Back upstairs, I started by getting my finger partially ripped off from my cat. Okay, it wasn't that bad. I put the outlet in and then I need to make sure the outlet didn't hit the frame on one side and still fully cover the filing cabinet on the other side. I then took the top back off to screw the frame together. I made sure that the frame was at least close to square and then I screwed it together. I then put the top back on and added screws into it from the frame to keep it all secure. Having this second desk in our office has been a big improvement. It's really helpful for us each to have our own space, and that makes it easier to be more organized. This is a quick project that anyone can do in a day or a weekend without expensive tools or materials. Check out one of my other videos, and I'll see you on the next one.